With more states legalizing recreational cannabis, many people think it's no big deal. But not too long ago, things were dramatically different. Our investigative producer, Leslie Marcus, reports on the highs and lows of cannabis in our culture.
You've probably never heard of a museum quite like this, the Museum of Weed. I'm here with Madeline, the executive director of the Museum of Weed.
Are you ready to go check out the history of weed?
Absolutely. Wow, Madeline, look at all of this propaganda on the walls.
Yeah, this era was wild. All of these tactics and all of this yellow journalism were deployed to really create a mass hysteria around cannabis.
Look at the space we're in right now. In the 50s and 60s, people started to rebel against social norms and really embrace cannabis.
This was a very interesting time. There was a lot of social justice movements happening, the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, and cannabis played a large role in creating a thread amongst all of these activists.
In response to the 1960s, the Nixon era really aimed to criminalize marijuana.
In 1970, they introduced a new piece of legislation called the Controlled Substances Act, which essentially equated cannabis with being as harmful as heroin.
And here we have the infamous Just Say No campaign.
When Reagan came into office, he expanded the war on drug efforts.
Look at these drug enforcement agents. What's the significance of this space?
This was a very scary time in America. A lot of policy implemented during this time that led to mass incarcerations.
And now we've entered the 90s, where cannabis started to be embraced in pop culture, and the stoner archetype was actually born.
The 90s were a pivotal time in cannabis legalization when we started to see it really be brought into the mainstream and when legislation started moving forward in terms of legalization.
Leslie met with cannabis specialist Dr. Sherry Yafai for a closer look at the changing tide of medical cannabis consumption.
We're standing in front of the first AIDS ward. Dr. Sherry, tell me why this room is so significant to our culture.
So this is the first time in about 50 years, between the 1930s and the 1980s, we see the medical use of cannabis being implemented with patients.
So for the select few doctors that actually embraced cannabis's medicinal purposes, they must have really put their reputations and their jobs on the line.
They faced consequences with both the DEA as well as the Medical Board of California, and that's still one of the essences that we're dealing with today.
This room is a recreation of San Francisco's Cannabis Buyers Club. Now, it was illegal at the time, but it allowed AIDS patients to get cannabis to soothe their suffering. Dr. Sherry, can you tell me what this room actually led to?
These Cannabis Buyers Clubs set the stage for the 1996 Compassionate Use Act here in California, which then created a domino effect throughout the rest of the country with medical marijuana rules.
What started off as just a flower that you can smoke has transformed into so much more. Dr. Sherry, tell us about all the ways you can consume cannabis today.
So you can use flower, vape oil, ingestibles, bath bombs.
So here we have some more products. Would you recommend any of these for first-time users?
Actually, no. All of these products contain high dosages of THC, and that is not good for a first-time user. The medical literature is showing that first-time users can have episodes of acute psychosis.
Acute psychosis sounds pretty intense.
It is. For patients who land in the hospital, it makes them feel like they're going crazy.
As we've witnessed today, we've come so far from the early years of prohibition to acceptance of cannabis in our culture.